The Academy of Galactic Warriors was enormous. Towering spires of metal and glass reached into the violet sky, and ships from hundreds of planets zoomed around the floating city like bees around a hive. Inside, thousands of alien students trained to become soldiers, strategists, and explorers. Every corner echoed with shouts, laughter, and arguments. Every species tried to show their strength, their intelligence, their superiority. All species, that is, except the humans. Humans sat quietly, always, calmly. No shouting, no arguing, no trying to show off. Even when instructors barked orders or alien students tried to provoke them, the humans remained still, watching, listening. They wrote notes carefully, studied every movement, every rule, and nodded politely when addressed. The instructors noticed immediately. "Why do they sit so quietly?" asked a green-skinned alien with 4 eyes, his voice trembling with frustration. "They never answer questions. They never fight back when teased." A small group of instructors gathered near the humans, whispering. "They must be weak," said one. "Maybe their bones are soft, or their minds are dull. Perhaps they are afraid," said another. "Or maybe they are pretending to be harmless." But no one could explain the strange calmness in the human eyes. Their faces showed nothing. No fear, no anger, no desire to impress. Something about them made even the most confident alien students uneasy. It was during a routine classroom fight that the mystery grew. 2 alien students, a reptilian species called the Zorth and a winged species called the Aran, argued over tactics. Soon, claws and fists were swinging. Chaos erupted. The humans did not panic. They did not run. They did not shout. They moved slightly to avoid being hit. But mostly, they just watched. One human even smiled faintly, almost as if he had expected this chaos all along. The head instructor, a tall crystalline being named Varnock, observed from above. His multiple eyes darted between the fighting aliens and the humans. Something about the human behavior bothered him. He had never seen students react like this. Calm, quiet, unshaken by fear or aggression. Curiosity and a hint of fear pushed him to do something he had never done before. He entered the restricted area of the academy, a place where no student was allowed. The combat logs. Every battle, every mission, every move of every human soldier had been secretly recorded by Earth's military before humans came to the academy. Varnock had been told these logs were dangerous to watch. They were filled with violence and cunning beyond any species' imagination. Varnock hesitated, but the need to understand these strange humans outweighed caution. He opened the first log. Instantly, images filled his mind. Humans fighting creatures with teeth bigger than a starship. Humans surviving storms that could melt metal. Humans facing machines of war that no other species could survive, and winning. Humans not only surviving, but smiling, laughing, and helping their teammates, even in the worst possible conditions. Varnock's crystalline body trembled. His eyes grew wider with every image. "Impossible," he whispered. "These creatures, these humans, they are not students. They are warriors, legends." He scrolled through the logs faster. Humans planning ambushes with perfect precision. Humans saving each other in deadly traps. Humans striking fear into enemies twice their size. The calmness in the classroom made sense now. It was not weakness. It was discipline. It was experience. It was a storm waiting to be unleashed. Varnock looked back at the classroom. One human was quietly correcting his notes, another adjusting his stance, and a third smiled faintly at a joke an alien made. It seemed ordinary, but Varnock knew better. Each one of them had faced death and had come out stronger. Each one of them was a strategist, a fighter, a survivor. He realized a terrifying truth. The humans were listening. They were learning. Every insult, every fight, every strategy of the other students was noted, cataloged, and remembered, and the humans were waiting. A shiver ran through Varnock. He closed the logs, unsure if he wanted to continue. The classroom noise felt different now. The shouts, the chaos. It all seemed smaller, weaker, beneath the presence of humans who had already survived things the galaxy had only whispered about. He looked at them again. They were quiet, polite, calm, innocent even, and yet In those quiet eyes, Varnock could feel the weight of battles he could not imagine. One student approached him slowly, a young human with brown hair and calm eyes. "Is everything all right, instructor?" he asked politely. Varnock's voice shook. "Yes, everything is fine." The student smiled faintly, turned back to his notes, and continued writing. The calmness was almost unnerving. Varnock whispered to himself, almost too softly to hear. "They sit quietly because they have survived everything I cannot even imagine. And if they ever fight, the galaxy will never be the same again." The part ended there, leaving Varnock and every reader wondering, what exactly did the humans survive, and what will happen if their patience finally ends? After the revelation from the combat logs, Varnock could not stop thinking about the humans. Their calmness in class was no longer a mystery. It was a warning. He decided to investigate further, cautiously, without alarming the other instructors. He returned to the logs, this time exploring the humans' history in detail. What he found shook him to his crystalline core. The humans had survived wars that had ended entire civilizations. On their home planet, Earth, they had faced plagues, starvation, and global conflicts. They had survived hostile alien invasions long before joining the Academy. Every student in the classroom had lineage tracing back to survivors who fought against impossible odds and won. Images flashed before Varnock's eyes. A young human throwing herself into a collapsing building to save her friends. A group of humans facing a swarm of biomechanical predators, armed with nothing but strategy and raw courage. Another clip showed humans leading tanks across frozen wastelands, smiling as they saved soldiers who had given up hope. "These creatures," Varnock muttered, "they have endured what no other species can even imagine." Varnock decided to observe the humans more closely in the classroom. He watched as alien students bragged about their victories in minor simulations. They boasted of defeating small squads, of surviving minimal challenges. The humans listened quietly. They never interrupted. They did not laugh or mock. One alien, a tall, horned warrior named Growlnock, tried to provoke a human verbally. "You humans think you are clever," he sneered, "but your species is weak. You will never survive the real battlefield." The human looked up calmly, meeting Growlnock's gaze. "We will survive," he said softly, "because we learn faster than fear." The class went silent. Every alien stared. Some laughed nervously, unsure if the human was joking. But Varnock saw something else. The confidence, the calm precision in the human's eyes. He knew then that this was no empty threat. Over the next days, Varnock secretly interviewed the humans. He asked simple questions. Why do you sit quietly? Why do you not fight back when teased? What makes your species so calm? Each human gave simple answers, almost ordinary. "We observe first. We learn," one replied. "We do not waste energy on anger," another said. "We prepare quietly and we act decisively." Varnock felt a chill. These were not just words. They were philosophy forged in fire, in endless survival. The whispers among alien students grew louder. Rumors spread like wildfire. "Did you see the humans? They never fight, yet they do not fear. They sit quietly, but I feel like they know everything we are thinking. They are calm because they have survived worse than all of us combined." Even the instructors began to question their own judgments. Were they underestimating humans? Or were they underestimating themselves? Then came the simulation test, the minor combat exercise that all students underwent weekly. It was meant to be a simple exercise, a test of coordination and skill. But something unusual happened. The moment the simulation began, every alien student panicked. Some forgot their training. Others argued over tactics. Some froze entirely. Chaos erupted, and the humans moved. Not hurriedly, not in panic, but with precision. They coordinated silently, guided confused students, neutralized threats in simulation, and completed objectives faster than anyone had thought possible. Each action was measured, exact, and efficient. Varnock watched from the observation deck, his multiple eyes wide with shock. The humans moved like experienced veterans, not students. The aliens who had mocked them were now being quietly guided by the very students they thought were weak. One human, The same quiet one who had answered ground knock approached the simulated battlefield calmly. He gave a single command, simple but clear, and the entire exercise fell into perfect order. Chaos became strategy, confusion became coordination, panic became calm action. Varnok's mind raced. He realized that the humans had not only survived unimaginable challenges, they had learned to thrive in them. Their silence was not passivity. It was preparation. Their calm was not fearlessness. It was experience. After the simulation, the other instructors demanded an explanation. They performed beyond any expectation. Varnok said, voice trembling. Their calm is not weakness. It is knowledge, wisdom, power. The humans returned to their seats, quiet as ever. The alien students looked on in a mix of awe, fear, and disbelief. They whispered among themselves, realizing that the humans they had underestimated were capable of things they could not even imagine. For the first time, Varnok understood the truth. The humans in his classroom were survivors, warriors, legends, and their quiet observation was not a lesson in patience. It was a promise that if the galaxy ever demanded it, humans would act, and the consequences would be beyond reckoning. As he watched the humans return to their notes, calm and unassuming, Varnok whispered to himself, almost in fear, almost in awe, they are listening, they are learning, and one day they will remind the galaxy why humans should never be underestimated. The classroom seemed quieter now. The aliens no longer laughed. The whispers slowed. Even the most confident students hesitated before mocking the humans again, because everyone had begun to understand, in some small, fearful way, that the quiet humans were not ordinary students. They were a force waiting to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be ready. It was another day at the Academy, and the instructors had planned a new combat simulation. This one was supposed to be simple, testing coordination, reflexes, and teamwork. Nothing too difficult. A standard exercise for the students. But the humans didn't know simple. The simulation began in the massive arena, a landscape of rocky canyons, glowing rivers, and towering structures. Alien students raced ahead with confidence, shouting strategies and attacking invisible targets. It was chaos. Then it happened. A malfunction in the arena's control system caused the simulation to shift. Walls moved unpredictably. Platforms collapsed, and hazards appeared in impossible locations. Alien students panicked. The Zorth lost their balance and fell into glowing pits. The winged Aaron crashed against shifting walls. Machines that were supposed to be harmless started behaving like real threats. Everyone froze, except the humans. The humans moved calmly. No running, no shouting, no wild attacks. They adjusted to the new environment with precision, checking their surroundings, reading patterns, and calculating moves. They guided the panicking aliens with quiet gestures, simple instructions, and careful leadership. Varnok, observing from above, could hardly believe his eyes. The simulation was supposed to be a minor exercise, but had turned into chaos, and the humans were controlling it like seasoned generals. One human, a tall young man with piercing blue eyes, directed a group of struggling Aaron through a collapsing corridor. Another human carried a Zor student across a glowing pit, barely touching the unstable surface, and landed safely. The instructors whispered among themselves. Are they using advanced combat strategies? Asked one. Yes, said Varnok, voice shaking. They are not just students. They are veterans, experienced warriors. Everything we saw in the logs, it's real. The aliens who had mocked the humans before were now terrified. Their confidence crumbled as they realized they were being silently led, guided, and sometimes saved by the very students they had called weak. The humans' silence was the most unnerving part. They did not boast. They did not shout commands. They simply acted, and everyone followed without question. Every move was calculated, every action precise. They adapted faster than the arena could throw challenges at them. Varnok's mind raced. He watched as one human, noticing a collapsing bridge, jumped across, grabbed a struggling student, and landed safely on the other side. The crowd gasped. Another human deployed a series of small energy barriers, protecting a group from falling debris. Every action seemed impossible, yet it happened smoothly, as if rehearsed 1,000 times. The simulation, which had been spiraling into chaos, suddenly became organized. Alien students who had been panicking now moved with direction, inspired and guided by the humans. Even the most arrogant students fell silent, following orders they barely understood, trusting instincts they had never known. And then came the moment that shocked everyone. A simulated enemy unit appeared, a massive mechanical creature designed to be undefeatable for most students. The aliens froze, unable to approach, but the humans stepped forward, silently analyzing the creature. They communicated with small gestures, then moved as a coordinated unit. The creature, enormous and menacing, lunged at them. One human dodged, another jumped behind, while a third launched a precise strike that disabled its core. Within moments, the creature was neutralized. Silence followed. The instructors were speechless. Some were afraid. Fear, awe, and disbelief filled the observation deck. They had expected chaos, maybe some minor failures, but they had witnessed the humans turn near disaster into flawless execution. Varnock finally whispered, almost to himself, "They do not panic. They do not fear. They survive, and they teach survival to others. And they do it quietly, almost like it is nothing." After the simulation ended, the alien students gathered around the humans. Some whispered apologies. Others stared in awe. For the first time, they truly understood that the humans were not ordinary students. They were warriors beyond imagination. One human, wiping sweat from his brow, turned to the group and said softly, "You survived the test because you listened. You followed. You learned. Panic is your enemy. Calm is your strength." The aliens had no answer. They could only watch. Varnock looked down at the classroom, realizing something terrifying and magnificent. The humans had waited, observed, and now, even in a simple exercise, they had shown the galaxy their true power. The calmness, the silence, the quiet observation. It was never weakness. It was the mark of those who had survived the impossible. And Varnock understood fully. If these humans ever decided to fight in real battle, the galaxy would tremble. The part ended with Varnock staring at the humans, thinking silently, "They are quiet because they are ready, and when they strike, nothing will be able to stop them." After the shocking simulation, whispers filled the academy halls. Alien students avoided direct contact with the humans. They stared at them in awe, confusion, and fear. Even the instructors were uneasy. Something about the humans had changed. They were no longer just students. They were a force that no one could ignore. Varnock decided it was time to learn the truth. He called a meeting of the senior instructors. They gathered in the observation chamber, a high room filled with holographic projections of every student. Varnock opened the logs once more, not just the combat simulations, but every secret record the humans had brought with them. What he discovered next was staggering. The humans at the academy were part of a hidden unit, a select force trained long before any of the aliens had even dreamed of interstellar warfare. They were not ordinary soldiers. They were survivors of Earth's most secret wars, veterans of countless battles, and experts in strategies that no other species had ever imagined. One of the humans in the classroom, a young woman named Leora, had survived missions that involved rogue AI fleets, alien mercenary attacks, and environmental disasters that could have wiped out entire planets. Another, a tall man named Kale, had led squads through hostile territories where every step could mean death, teaching his team not just to fight, but to think, survive, and adapt. The instructors gasped. These humans were not here merely to learn. They had already mastered war. Every move in the classroom, every calm action, every silent observation, it was training, but it was also preparation for something far greater. Varnock called one of the humans to speak privately. "Why are you here?" Varnock asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The human smiled faintly, calm as ever. "We came to learn," he said simply. "Not because we need knowledge, but because we need to understand others. We cannot fight alone. And one day, the galaxy will need more than just humans." Varnock understood immediately. They were not arrogant. They were patient. They were not reckless. They were strategic. They had joined the academy not to dominate, but to observe, learn, and prepare. Every alien species thought they were the strongest, the smartest, but the humans had quietly learned everything, without boasting, without fighting unnecessarily, without drawing attention. Word spread quickly among the students. Rumors circulated about the humans' hidden past, their elite training, and their unmatched survival skills. Some alien students were frightened. Some were angry at being outshined. Others were simply confused, unable to comprehend the discipline, calmness, and precision of the humans. Even instructors who had doubted the humans could no longer ignore the truth. They had underestimated them for too long. The quiet students were a sleeping storm. Every gesture, every move, every action in the classroom and in the simulation had been calculated and perfected. They were ready. And then the Academy faced a real test. A distress signal arrived from a nearby sector. A pirate fleet had attacked a minor planet, destroying colonies and killing thousands. Alien ships had tried to intervene, but they were disorganized and unprepared. The instructors turned to the humans. Without hesitation, the human students organized a response. They moved through simulations, mapped strategies, and assigned roles to the panicked alien students. Within hours, the humans had coordinated an operation that no alien commander had thought possible. They directed alien fleets, neutralized enemy forces, and rescued stranded civilians, all with calm efficiency. Varnock watched, stunned. The hidden human unit had revealed its purpose. They were not just students. They were teachers, leaders, and warriors. The Academy had been their stage to learn silently. But now it was clear. Humans were prepared for far larger battles. As the operation ended successfully, the humans returned to their quiet seats in the classroom. Alien students stared, still trying to comprehend what they had witnessed. Varnock approached the human leader and asked, almost in awe, "What is your goal? Why train like this in secret?" The human smiled softly. "To survive," he said, "to teach, and to prepare. The galaxy is vast, and danger is inevitable. We will be ready, and when the time comes, we will lead, not for glory, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Varnock felt both fear and admiration. These humans were not merely a part of the Academy. They were a hidden force, quietly preparing to change the galaxy. And for the first time, he realized the calmness, the silence, the polite gestures, all of it had been a warning. The humans were ready for anything. And the calm at the Academy did not last long. A massive energy spike appeared on the galactic scanners. Alien governments panicked as the readings confirmed the worst. An unknown fleet, enormous and heavily armed, was moving toward the core sectors. The fleet was not just large, it was organized, relentless, and utterly unfamiliar. Entire worlds trembled at the thought of facing it. In the Academy, instructors scrambled. Holographic projections filled the command room, showing the enemy's approach. Alien students whispered fearfully. Even the most confident among them were unsure how to respond. All eyes turned to the humans. The humans, as always, remained calm. They observed the projections, spoke quietly among themselves, and noted patterns that others could not see. Varnock realized something terrifying. While the aliens panicked, the humans were already forming a plan. They had done this before, countless times, in situations where survival was impossible. One human, the same one who had led the previous simulation flawlessly, stood. His voice was soft, but it carried authority. "We will stop them," he said simply. "If we work together, we can protect the core sectors. Fear will not help. Panic will not help. Calm and strategy will." The alien instructors exchanged uneasy glances. Could humans really lead them against an unknown fleet? Many feared failure. But the humans' quiet confidence was undeniable. The preparations began immediately. Humans organized alien students into units, teaching them tactics that defied conventional thinking. They coordinated defense grids, assigned patrols, and even restructured fleet formations to maximize efficiency. Every alien species, from the massive Zorth warriors to the nimble Aran flyers, was placed precisely where they could be most effective. Varnock watched in awe as the humans moved to the command room. Their calm was contagious. Alien students who had panicked moments ago now worked together, following instructions they barely understood. Every move had purpose. Every command had logic. Then the first wave of the enemy fleet arrived. Massive warships moved through space with precision, targeting colonies and trade routes. Alien fleets scrambled to respond, but their coordination faltered. Confusion spread like wildfire, and the humans acted quietly, efficiently, without hesitation. They guided the alien fleets. They predicted the enemy's moves, intercepted attacks before they landed, and deployed strategies no alien species had ever attempted. Ships moved in perfect synchrony, energy shields and weapon systems activated with deadly precision. Even the unknown fleet seemed caught off guard, as if facing an intelligence far beyond anything in the galaxy. Varnock could hardly believe his eyes. The humans were not just fighting, they were orchestrating the entire defense. Their calm, silent leadership turned chaos into order, panic into strategy, and near defeat into hope. Alien instructors, who had doubted humans for months, now watched with awe and fear. The humans' patience, discipline, and hidden combat skills were no longer a secret. They were a force of nature. During the battle, one human coordinated a rescue mission for civilian ships trapped in the combat zone. Another human personally led a strike team to disable the enemy's command ship. Every action was precise, every decision calculated, and every move executed with near-perfect timing. By the end of the first day, the enemy fleet had been pushed back. The core sectors were safe. For now, the alien governments, once skeptical and fearful of humans, were now forced to acknowledge their extraordinary abilities. Varnock, standing on the observation deck, finally understood the truth. The humans had prepared for this moment for centuries. Their calm, their silence, their discipline in the classroom and simulations. It had all been training for real war. And now, the galaxy's fate rested in their hands. One of the humans approached Varnock after the battle. He spoke quietly, almost casually. "This was only the first wave," he said. "The threat is bigger than it seems. But the galaxy will survive if we act together. Calm, focus, and strategy will guide us." Varnock nodded, feeling both fear and admiration. The humans were not ordinary students. They were a hidden force, quietly preparing to change the fate of the galaxy. And now, the universe was beginning to see what it already realized months ago. Humans were not to be underestimated. The instructors, alien students, and even Varnock himself knew one thing for certain. The calm humans in the classroom were no longer just observers. They were the galaxy's shield, and their full power was yet to be revealed. The Academy had transformed into a command center. Every holographic display, every projection, every sensor was tuned to track the enemy fleet. Alien instructors rushed to coordinate defenses, but it was clear. Humans were now in charge. Their calm presence dominated the room, and every alien student instinctively followed their guidance. Varnock stood at the edge of the command deck, watching. The humans moved with quiet authority, assigning ships, squads, and defenses with precision. Their words were few, but every instruction carried weight. Every action had purpose. Kale, the same human who had led them in the simulation, spoke quietly to the assembled alien fleet captains. "Split your forces into 3 formations," he said. "Focus on flanking and cutting off their supply lines. The enemy reacts predictably when cornered. Use that to your advantage." The alien captains blinked. No one had ever seen a strategy so bold, so seemingly simple, yet utterly effective. And yet, as they followed his orders, it worked. Enemy ships faltered. Supply lines were cut. Chaos spread among the attackers. Meanwhile, Leora led a team of alien pilots through a dangerous asteroid field, using tactics no one had thought possible. She dodged enemy fire, protected civilians trapped in orbit, and guided her team with calm precision. Every move was calculated, every command timed perfectly. In the Academy's main control room, Varnock whispered to another instructor, "They don't just fight, they teach. Every move they make trains others to survive. They are reshaping the battlefield in real time." The battle raged for hours. Enemy warships were massive, advanced, and numerous. Many alien fleets had fallen in previous encounters, unable to match the scale and cunning of the attack. But under human leadership, the Academy forces moved as one. Panic turned into strategy, fear turned into coordination, and chaos became order. A particularly tense moment arrived when a group of alien ships became trapped in a collapsing warp tunnel. The humans acted instantly. Using a combination of fleet maneuvers and precise energy bursts, they freed the ships before disaster struck. Alien pilots, who had panicked only moments before, now followed commands without hesitation, inspired by the humans' calm and unwavering focus. Varnok's eyes widened as he realized the scale of human leadership. They were not simply surviving. They were dominating the battlefield without arrogance or pride. Their power lay not just in strength, but in patience, calculation, and the ability to make every ally stronger. Then came the final assault. The enemy's main command ship approached the core sector, its weapons capable of destroying entire cities in moments. Every fleet member knew that failure here meant annihilation. Kale stepped forward, standing calmly at the helm of the command projection. His voice, calm but firm, carried across the room. "This is our moment. Focus. Move with purpose. Protect the core. Trust your instincts and trust each other." The humans coordinated a flawless strike. Alien fleets moved in synchronized patterns, striking the enemy from every angle. Energy shields, coordinated attacks, evasive maneuvers, all executed perfection. Within minutes, the command ship was disabled, its weapons destroyed, and the enemy fleet scattered. The room erupted in cautious cheers. Alien students stared at the humans with a mix of fear, awe, and respect. The instructors, who had doubted humans for months, now realized they had witnessed something extraordinary. Varnok approached Kale and Leora. His crystalline body shimmered with awe. "You led all of this," he said. "You took control, and you succeeded where we would have failed." Kale shook his head, calm as ever. "We did not do this alone," he said. "Every student, every pilot, every instructor, they all contributed. We simply guided. We prepared. We act calmly, because chaos is predictable if you know how to read it." Leora added softly, "Strength is not just power. It is preparation, focus, and trust. The galaxy will survive not because of fear, but because of calm, precise action." Varnok nodded slowly. The lesson was clear. Humans were not just warriors. They were leaders, teachers, and protectors. Their quiet observation, their discipline, and their patience had turned the tide of a battle that could have destroyed the core sectors. The humans returned to their seats in the classroom as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Alien students whispered among themselves, realizing they had witnessed greatness. Varnok's thoughts lingered on one truth. The humans had shown the galaxy what it meant to survive, lead, and protect. They did not seek glory. They did not crave recognition. They acted because it was necessary. And when the time came, their calm would decide the fate of worlds. The Academy had learned its first lesson. The quiet humans were the galaxy's shield, and their full potential had only begun to reveal itself. The galaxy held its breath. The unknown fleet had regrouped. Its numbers were greater than before, and its weapons more devastating. Entire sectors whispered fearfully of an unstoppable force moving toward the core worlds. The alien governments panicked. Fleets scrambled, and the Academy became the last line of defense. And the humans? They were calm. Varnok watched from the observation deck as the human students moved quietly among the command stations. Their presence was not loud, not arrogant. It was focused, deliberate. Every alien student followed their instructions without hesitation. Every move was coordinated, every order precise. Kale, standing before the main holographic display, addressed the assembled forces. "This is a final stand," he said, his voice calm but commanding. "We fight not for glory, but for survival. Focus on your training, trust your allies, and act decisively. Chaos is predictable if we remain calm." The alien captains exchanged glances. Could the humans really hold the line against such overwhelming odds? But as the humans began to deploy the defense, their calm efficiency inspired confidence. Alien ships moved into precise formations. Energy barriers were synchronized, and every weapon system activated with flawless timing. The enemy fleet arrived with devastating force. Ships larger than planets unleashed firepower that could obliterate colonies. Entire battlefields were thrown into chaos. Alien fleets struggled to respond, fear threatening to undo their coordination. But the humans moved like a single organism. They predicted enemy tactics, countered attacks before they landed, and coordinated flanking maneuvers that turned the tide of every skirmish. Leora led a squadron of agile fighters through a field of deadly energy storms, rescuing trapped ships and neutralizing enemy command vessels. Kale directed orbital defenses, striking at the enemy's weak points with precision so exact it seemed impossible. Varnock felt awe and fear mingle in his mind. Every alien species present was relying on the humans' decisions. The calm in the humans was not passivity. It was control. Every silent gesture, every quiet command, held the fate of the galaxy in balance. The enemy's main fleet approached the core worlds, their massive weapons ready to obliterate everything. Panic swept through the alien forces. But Kale remained unfazed. "Hold your ground," he said softly. "We will end this together. Follow the plan. Trust each other." The humans executed a series of maneuvers that no alien fleet had ever attempted. Energy barriers moved in shifting patterns, cutting off enemy advances. Coordinated strikes destroyed supply lines and disabled massive warships. Alien students, inspired by the humans, fought with courage and precision they had never known. In the center of the battlefield, Kale and his team executed a final, daring maneuver. Using a combination of advanced tactics and precise timing, they targeted the enemy command ship. The attack was calculated, almost surgical, and the enemy fleet faltered under coordinated assault. The battle raged for hours, but slowly, the tide turned. Enemy ships fell one by one. Retreats became chaotic, and the once feared fleet scattered into the void. Alien governments, instructors, and students alike could hardly believe it. The humans had done the impossible. As the dust settled, the humans returned to their seats in the classroom as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. Alien students stared, whispers filling the air. The instructors, including Varnock, approached Kale and Leora, still shaking with awe. "You led the galaxy," Varnock said, voice trembling. "You saved worlds that none of us could have saved." How did you do it?" Kale smiled faintly, calm as ever. "We acted as we always have," he said. "We observed, we learned, and we remain calm. Strength is not only power, it is patience, preparation, and unity. We fought not for glory, but for those who could not fight for themselves." Leora added, "The galaxy underestimated us once. They thought quietness meant weakness. But true strength is in calm, in discipline, and in action when it matters most." Varnock realized a truth the galaxy had ignored for too long. Humans were not just a species. They were a force of nature. Their patience, their discipline, and their quiet observation had turned the impossible into victory. The Academy, the instructors, and every alien student finally understood. Humans were not ordinary. They were guardians, leaders, warriors beyond imagination. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again. As the humans returned to their studies, quietly taking notes and listening, one thought echoed to the minds of all who had witnessed the battle. The calm humans of the Academy had saved the galaxy, and if they ever acted again, nothing would ever be the same. The quiet storm had spoken. The battle was over. The enemy fleet had been destroyed or scattered beyond reach. The core worlds were safe, and the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. But for the humans of the Academy, nothing had changed. They returned to their classrooms, quietly taking notes, observing alien students, and preparing for what could come next. For them, the victory was not glory. It was proof that preparation, discipline, and calm were stronger than panic and brute force. Alien students whispered among themselves. "Did you see what they did?" said young Aaron Pilot. "They led the fleet, they saved millions, and they didn't even raise their voices." "They were terrifying in a good way," replied a Zorath warrior. "I can't believe we doubted them." The instructors gathered once more. Varnock, standing in the center of the room, addressed the others. "We have underestimated humans for too long," he said. "Their silence was never weakness. Their calm was never inaction. They're the galaxy's hidden guardians, and now we have seen what that truly means." In the following weeks, the Academy changed. Humans were no longer just students. They became trainers, advisors, and leaders. Alien students learned from them not only tactics and strategy, but the philosophy of patience, observation, and focus. Kale and Leora were assigned to lead a special human-led unit, tasked with defending critical sectors and training other species in advanced combat strategy. Every operation they oversaw was precise, efficient, and executed with the quiet confidence humans were known for. Varnock watched a training session one morning. Humans moved silently among alien students, correcting stances, suggesting strategies, and demonstrating techniques. What struck him most was their demeanor. Calm, patient, and always observing. No shouting, no arrogance, just quiet authority. One young alien approached Varnock. "I don't understand," the alien said. "How can they be so calm? So untouchable? They smile, they listen, they act, and yet they are unstoppable." Varnock nodded. "It is not about power. It is about preparation, discipline, and unity. They have survived more than we can imagine. That is why they are so strong." News of the humans' victory and their new role in the Academy spread across the galaxy. Alien governments reached out to request their guidance. Colonies asked for their defense strategies. Even rival species showed respect, sometimes bordering on fear. The quiet humans, who had once been underestimated, were now shaping the future of the galaxy. But the humans themselves did not seek recognition. They continued their studies, quietly observing, learning, and training. They knew the galaxy was vast, and threats would always arise. Their calm was their preparation for the unknown. Late one evening, Kale and Leora stood together on the Academy's observation deck, watching the stars. "Do you think they will return?" Leora asked softly. "Who?" Kale replied. "The enemy fleet, or someone worse. Something we haven't even imagined." Kale smiled faintly. "Then we'll be ready. That's what humans do. We prepare, we train, and when the time comes, we act. Calmly, decisively. Together, below them, the Academy hummed with life. Alien students practiced, instructors planned, and humans quietly guided it all. The galaxy had survived the storm, but everyone knew that humans were no longer ordinary. They had risen from silence to lead, from calm to command. And the legend of the humans, the quiet, unstoppable force, was only beginning. As the stars shimmered above, one truth was clear. The galaxy had changed. The humans had shown their strength, their patience, and their courage. And wherever the next threat appeared, the quiet storm would be ready. The humans had returned, not for revenge, not for glory, but to protect, guide, and inspire. And the galaxy would never be the same again.